Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm gonna get straight into this one. But man, I was, meditating in the spirit and the Lord just took me a whole different way. I wanted to do a lesson about something else, but I'm gonna get straight into this. But going back into this Kanye West, uh, you know, situation or whatever, what I'm saying, that he told, the masses of this world that we the real Jews, we the Hebrew Israelites, which he was not lying about that. But to get into this, man, I went on a rabbit hole on this one, but the spirit was guiding me. All right, he said something in this video I'm about to play of who control all these different, you know, movie companies and production studios and so on and so forth. Pretty much Hollywood. So check this out, then I'm gonna get into this lesson.
News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook.
You heard what he said, Paramount Pictures. I'm gonna back it up. I want you to listen for this.
Huffington Post, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook,
You heard it.
Huffington Post, Yahoo, Marvel, Hulu, Cosmopolitan, Time, Touchstone, Associated Press, Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, Lucas Arts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now, the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish at these times.
All right, so let me get into this lesson. And you see right here, it says how American so-called Jews built Hollywood, which would be the so-called Ish people, which they the imposters. They not the real Jews. We are so-called Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans. So let me get into this. I found something very interesting with all this. The Lord had me kind of go on this rabbit hole, but all this gonna make sense. All right, you see all these so-called Jewish people, these Edomites from Amalek. That'll be the top tribe of the nation of Edom. All right. And you see this right here. I'm going to show you something very crucial. And they speak Yiddish, right here. It says, check this out. It says, when movies were introduced in the late 1890s, success in the new industry required many of the same skill and value deville in the garment trade. Salesmanship was the big one. Film producers had to sell their movies to the theater owners, and the theater owners had to sell to the audiences. For example, Carl Liemling, however you say that, a German-born so-called Jew, marketed clothing before starting Universal Pictures. Adolf Zukor, a Hungarian so-called Jew, sold furs before funding Paramount Pictures. All right. And Jesse Lansky, an American-born so-called Jew, one of his partners at Paramount. So where I'm going with this? So these so-called fake Jews, small hatters, they pretty much own all Hollywood and all these other industries. So Kanye West was not lying. So let me show you something here. This fits to get good. Salakia. I'm gonna go here. It says I just put in the movie Ten Commandments, which is a big indoctrination and brainwashing movie that they've been playing, I think ever since the 1956, if I'm not mistaken. All right. It says the 1956, right, Paramount production of the Ten Commandments, Paramount production of the Ten Commandments. And you notice that movie, everybody's whitewashed. They try to spray tan them. But, they made it known that, they were saying the Israelites and the so-called Egyptians, which would be the seed of Ham, were so-called white men. All right, I'm going to show them and prove everything I'm telling you. So you see the connection. These so-called Jewish people created this Paramount production, right? Paramount Studios, Salakia. Sorry about that. There's always some distractions. All right. All right, was sealed. Okay, let me read this. The 1956 Paramount production of the Ten Commandments was the Cecil B. DeMille's last film. When you look him up, he was a so-called half Jewish, whatever. But he subscribed to being a so-called Jew in a roundabout way. All right, but that was the director of this movie. So I'm gonna show you where I'm going with all this. All right, let me show you something. All right, you see this movie, right? Salakia. Let's go here. So I'm gonna show you something. And you see those images. They're supposed to be Moses. All right. And this dude is Charleston, named Charleston Hester, something like that. And you see how they whitewashed it. And now it makes sense. The fake Jews funded this movie, and that's why everybody's so-called white in this movie. All right. Even the Egyptians, the Israelites, everybody been whitewashed. All right. It makes sense. Look, these supposed to be the Egyptians. And I'm gonna go to some real images of how the true Egyptians and the Israelites look. They was so-called brown flesh people. But this right here is an enchantment. All right, and they play this every Easter. Easter is, a pagan day anyway, but it just more confusion on top of confusion. But you see this, whitewashed. All right. Now this is a great enchantment on our people's minds. So that's why when they think about when we tell them they're Hebrew Israelites, they can't make sense out of it because it sounds like the most crazy shit they ever heard in their life because of the enchantments of Hollywood, these so-called Jewish people. You see, everybody been whitewashed. And we know the true Egyptians and the Israelites were so-called black people, man. Not the same race of people. All right. One was from the seed of Ham. One was a seed from the seed of Israel. All right. You see? Whitewash. And these fake Jews funded this movie. Make all the sense in the world. Look at this. Look at that. So let me show you how the real Egyptians, so-called Egyptians and the Israelites looked. Give me 1 second. Let's go here. All right. So this is the book I got, my personal book, and this is the Encyclopedia of Ancient Egypt. All right. So let me go back. Let me show you some inserts out of this book. You see them so-called black people, so-called brown flesh people, Salakia. All right, will be so-called known as so-called black people, but they through the seed of Ham. All right. But this is not what they portrayed in that movie. All right. And you see right here, this is Ramses II, and you see the Israelites. He got he got his hand around their hair. You see they got brown flesh as well. All right. And this is inside one of these tombs. I forget which one it is. But you see the Israelites, our people that we descend from, was working these rigorous jobs. They were slaves, man. But you see they are brown flesh people. All right. All right. This is another inside of another actual tomb that's in Egypt. I forget which one this is. All right. I haven't went over this information in a while. But you don't this is not what they showed you. Give me 1 second. Let me show you this. They showed you this. All right. This is not accurate right here. This is nothing but a lie. This is nothing but an enchantment. All right. Of the so-called white man, which is you know, be known as Jewish people today, which they from the seed of Amalek. All right. Which is from Amalek, which would be Edomites. All right. And they renamed themselves Jewish, white, Germans, British, Spanish, Polish, all these issues, right? Jewish. All right. So you see, man, let's go back here. Let's show you some truth. All right. And that's Peter and Paul. And Paul was mistaken for the Egyptian in the book of Acts, if I'm not mistaken. And Moses was mistaken for the Egyptian. And Joseph went into Egypt, you know what I'm saying? He was sold into bondage and became, you know the story. Look, inside this book, brown flesh people, artifacts, all right, archaeology. This ain't what they showed you though. All right. And that's why they play that movie every Easter, which is a satanic day anyway. All right. What bunny lay goddamn Easter eggs, man? All right. And this is the Israelites going into one of these captivities, as many we've been into. All right. And you see this one. I've showed brothers and sisters this one before. You see them cornrows. You see them dominant so-called black man feature fringes. They going into the Babylonian captivity. These the real Israelites. The shit they showing on these movies is all fake. Right here, it say Israelite slaves in Egypt. It say Israelite captives into slavery into Egypt. Their duties inscribed in front of them. You see, they doing manual labor. We were slaves. What, we not slaves in Egypt? All right. Read this insert out of this book. It said in the year 1665 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state, which Jewish just a name that they made up. All right, it's really Hebrew Israelites. And you got the 12 tribes. With great slaughter during the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. That's how we got into Nigeria and all those different spots in Africa, all over, fleeing from the Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. And this is book from Babylon to Timbuktu. You can go buy it, man. So everything is just lining up to the truth, man. Right here, ancient so-called black Hebrews, all right, Jacob and his family, all right. But the lie's been broken down through the truth right here. The ancient so-called black Hebrews, all right. And you see, I can't even get to it all. It's so much, all right. So let me go hit some scripts. And you see right here, let me get into that one. You see that corn? Who wear their hair like that? Bushy, right? So let me get back into this lesson. Salakia. This time. All right. Let's go pull this first scripture. And I'm gonna try to breeze through this because the devil's clocking me. This is the book of Isaiah 47, and it started at 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. This is not talking about ancient Babylon. That's why I say, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Your daughter comes after you. It says ancient Babylon was the mother, and the daughter was, the future Babylon, which would be mystery Babylon, known as America. It's America. Sit on the ground, so come out of your rulership. There is no throne or daughter of the Chaldeans. That's going back into these Illuminati, the upper echelon of the Edomite's power structure. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Let's jump down to 12. Stand now with thine enchantments. So this movie here was funded by the so-called Jewish people, which Edomites. That's an enchantment, man. Because I'm gonna get into that. And with the multitude of thy sorceries, which there are many, wherein thou hast labored from youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit. If so be thou mayest prevail. So I want to kind of focus in on this word enchantment, because you got many different enchantments in this place, Babylon, the Great America. Let's go to this word enchantment. And this movie was an enchantment movie. I'm gonna get straight to what I want to get to. Enchantment. It says a magical spell, that you said at the top, bewitchment, a psychological state induced. This heavy right here, what I'm about to go into. State induced by or is induced by a magical incarnation, spell, trance. So a psychological state induced. So by them making these movies, right? Let's go to this word psychological, because part of this weaponry, with the mind, the so-called white man has utilized the television. I'm gonna get into that. It says psychological. It says definition of psychological are relating to psychology, mental, directed toward the will or toward the mind specifically. All right. Salakia. I'm not gonna have enough time. All right. But yeah, this was a psychological warfare right here. And let's go back into television. All right here. Salakia. It says, my name is TV. My job is to help destroy what is left of your imagination by feeding you with endless doses of sugar coated mindless garbage, right? Right here. History will show that the 21st century mankind. I'm just going to do a part 2 on this. See you on the next one.